وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Before I start the lecture today, inshallah, probably all of you know that Brother Ala Khair Jum'ah passed away early this morning, about 12:20 a.m. And his janazah is going to be after salah, so I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bestow His mercy and blessings upon him and give his family serenity and patience to endure this, inshallah. Allahumma ameen. Oftentimes we hear terms that we may not fully understand. We hear the term dictator. Dictator is basically a person who takes power by force, usually. A dictator who has a total authority over a country or a group, or a company perhaps. Other terms that we use interchangeably with a dictator would include a pharaoh, an autocrat, monocrat, Qaisar, in Arabic, Caesar, the Führer, which was a term that used for Hitler, and a tyrant. The most infamous of all tyrants that we might know of in the Quran, because there are so many ayat about him, is Fir'aun. So we're going to talk about the story of Fir'aun and what a dictator he was and how he was able to become a dictator and how he was able to remain in power as a dictator and what his end result was. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran al-Kareem, إِنَّ فِرْعَوْنَ عَلَى فِي الْأَرْضِ وَجَعَلَ أَهْلَهَا شِيَعًا لِيَسْتَضْعِفُ طَائِفَةً مِّنْهُمْ يُذَبِّحُ أَبْنَاءَهُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيِي نِسَاءَهُمْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ مِنَ الْمُفْسِدِينَ. Now that Fir'aun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran al-Kareem, became an arrogant tyrant who divided and conquered and was able to rule his people by the force that he had, or the power that he had, and the division that he implemented among the people. This is how he started, that he became a tyrant and an arrogant person by dividing and conquering his own people, by inflicting or starting fitna between his own people that started warring and started fighting amongst themselves. Dictators usually cannot be in power without the assistance of munafiqeen. And the biggest munafiq that Fir'aun had assisting him was his minister, Haman. Whether he was the information minister or he was the information of information, or the minister of all ministers, regardless, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran al-Kareem, إِنَّ فِرْعَوْنَ وَهَامَانَ وَجُنُودَهُمَا كَانُوا خَاطِئِينَ. That he included the three of them. Without these three categories all put together, conspiring for dictatorship, it cannot happen. What Fir'aun basically did was that he became an arrogant person and then he played on the ignorance of people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran al-Kareem about the situation when Musa alayhi salam and his brother Harun alayhi salam, they approached Fir'aun by the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fir'aun said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَنَادَى فِرْعَوْنَ فِي قَوْمِهِ قَالْ يَا قَوْمِ, O my people, isn't it true that I own this land of Egypt? Isn't it true that the rivers flow beneath my feet, beneath me? Isn't it true that I'm a powerful person? Can't you see that I am the rightful person who should be in this powerful decision? Compare me to Musa and Harun. They have no power, no authority, and no money. This is how he was able to play on the ignorance of people. And then in the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْتَخَفَّ قَوْمَهُ. He played them for fools. فَأَطَاعُوهُ إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا قَوْمًا فَاسِقِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to Fir'aun and to his people, Musa wa Harun alayhim as-salam. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى بِآيَاتِنَا وَسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ. Clear ayat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, clear evidence from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Fir'aun is a tyrant, that Fir'aun is not God. He sent them إِلَىٰ فِرْعَوْنِ وَمَلَئِهِ فَاتَّبَعُوا أَمْرَ فِرْعَوْنِ. The people followed Fir'aun. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in different ayat says ثُمَّ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى وَأَخَاهُ هَارُونَ بِآيَاتِنَا وَسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ إِلَىٰ فِرْعَوْنَ وَمَلَئِهِ فَاسْتَكْبَرُوا فِرْعَوْنَ وَمَلَئِهِ اسْتَكْبَرُوا. They were arrogant. They were arrogant people. And they said, should we believe in two men who are just like us and their people, the people who they want to come here and save, worship us like gods? This is how arrogant Fir'aun was. Fir'aun played it on the emotional intelligence aspect, and he said to his people, مَا أُرِيكُمْ إِلَّا مَا أَرَى. I show you only what I see. And what I see is what's good for you. And only I know what is good for you. And what I'm showing you is what's good for you. Therefore you should obey me. Then the end was the outright display of dictatorship and tyranny from Fir'aun. Listen to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran al-Kareem about him. When Musa and Harun were sent to him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about Fir'aun, فَكَذَّبَ وَعَصَى. فَكَذَّبَ, he denied and he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his prophets. ثُمَّ أَدْبَرَ يَسْعَى فَحَشَرَ فَنَادَى. He assembled all the people, he gathered all the people, and what did he say to them? فَقَالَ أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. Fir'aun told the people that he was God himself. In a different ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَالَ فِرْعَوْنُ. When some of the people believed in Musa and Harun, alayhima as-salam, he said to them, how dare you believe in them before I give you permission? Can you believe and imagine the arrogance of Fir'aun? Dictatorship and tyranny is alive, they're both alive and well in our world. Especially in the Arab world and in the Muslim world, unfortunately. It's not only Fir'aun. Now for those people who believe in separation of church and state, or separation of religion and administration, or religion and state, this is ilmaniyya, and it is kufr. The story of Fir'aun in the Quran is nothing but politics. It's not religion, pure religion. It's politics. And what we see nowadays in our lives in many different countries, namely, and this is only the example that I'm using, Egypt. The newest Fir'aun, and a Fir'aun before him, and a Fir'aun before him, and a Fir'aun before him. And in other countries, in Yemen, we had a Fir'aun. In Libya, we had a Fir'aun. In Tunisia, we had a Fir'aun. In Algeria, we had a Fir'aun. Even monarchy is a form of tyranny and dictatorship, because only one family rules the country. Is this from the Quran or the Sunnah? Where is it from? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ, where did this come from, this dictatorship? Came from shaitan, obviously. It is not the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is it that the Fir'aun tells his people? I'll give you a few examples. And these examples, I've heard them myself from the Fir'aun himself, from different countries. I am the only one who cares about you. I, the ruler, I'm the only one who cares about you. And you should believe that I am the only one who knows what is good for you. مَا أُرِيكُمْ إِلَّا مَا أَرَى. That's what Fir'aun said to his people. I show you what is good for you. What I think is good for you, this is what I do for you. I am the only one who knows how to fix things. We even have a Fir'aun right here in the United States of America. I am the only one who knows how to fix things. And it is going to take me and my family a lifetime for me and my family ruling this country or this organization to fix things. I am the only person you must trust. Why? Because this is the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you trust me as the ruler of this country or the organization. The whole country, the whole organization cannot survive, cannot sustain itself unless I am the ruler. This is what they've been saying to their people. I am the ruler by the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what more? It is even written in the holy books. Fir'aun. Fir'aun al-Ummah is not just one Fir'aun. We have Fir'aun almost in every country, Arab country and Muslim country. Fir'aun. People who claim that they are the rightful ruler of the country by the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was chosen by the people, the shura, the mufti, the people, the media, the army. Everyone chose me to be the everlasting ruler of this country. How did I do this? How is it possible for a tyrant or a Fir'aun or a Qaisar or a Führer, how is it possible for them to stay in power? Well, I have a few examples that I was able to put together, and I'm sure that all of us would share the same idea. Number one, holding all decision-making power in their own hands. They would not let anyone else make any decision. It's a one-man show. Appointing their own loyal people, whether they're family members or their relatives or their cousins or their loyal friends and business associates into the same ruling party, so they would ensure that this person remains in power. Look at what happened in Algeria. For 20 years the same person was in power. And what is so laughable is this tyrant, his own people wanted him to take care of the country where he couldn't take care of his own self. Man couldn't even get out of a wheelchair, and they wanted him to stay in the tyranny, dictatorship. They would change the constitution to fit their own needs. Just like what happened in Egypt a couple days ago. That yes, we're going to allow this same man to be in power for 12 more years on top of the 8 years or 10 years, however they want to calculate it. So he basically will be in power forever. Well, if you cannot change the constitution, what do? You apply and implement and enforce unconstitutional laws and rules.
You are wrong. Don't talk about him.
Jazakallah khair.
Yes. And don't talk about the president, because you're wrong.
Jazakallah. They would conduct fake orchestrated elections to give the false impression of democracy. Those dictators will alienate and eliminate and make sure that nobody stands in their opposition. And if anyone dares to oppose them, either they're dead or they're in prison. And yes, you are allowed, theoretically only, you're allowed to run for president. But should you dare to declare your intention to run for president, what happens to you? You're jailed. You're demonized. The opposition is always demonized by the ruling party because they want to perpetuate dictatorship and tyranny. And then in the end, we ask one question. Why is it that our Arab and Muslim world in such chaos and such mess? It is simply because we do not apply the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. That the best person is the one that should be in power. There is an Arabic saying that most of us probably in the Arab world heard before. شو فرعنك يا فرعون? How did you become a tyrant? He said, اتفرعنت وما حد ردني ما حد وقفني. I became a tyrant and nobody stood against me. Nobody said no to me. People helped me. People did not hold me accountable for my own mistakes. People boasted about things that I did not accomplish, or things that were accomplished by other people. They give him credit for it. It is so amazing how one person can remain in power for such a long time, destroying a country's infrastructure, destroying a country's economy, destroying a country's social structure. And then we ask the question, why is it that we are in such a bad shape? Why is it that we are not getting the victory from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? By applying the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we become what we used to be. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. Doing what? تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. And speaking of this particular verse in the Quran, there's a hadith when the Prophet ﷺ said to his companions, كيف أنتم إذا أمرتم بالمنكر ونهيتم عن المعروف. At the time of the Sahaba, this happened. That the people will order munkar and will forbid ma'ruf. On the good note, Namrud bin Kan'an, Fir'aun, and all the tyrants of the world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, including Abu Jahl, killed them the most ridiculous way anybody can imagine. Tyranny can never ever live long. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.